That was our babka.
You can't beat a babka.
We had that babka.
They're gonna be heroes.
But what are we gonna do now? If we can't get the babka, the whole thing's useless.
How about a carrot cake?
Carrot cake? Now, why is that a cake? You don't make carrots into a cake, I'm sorry.
Black Forest?
Black Forest? Too scary. You're in the forest. Ooh. Hey, how about a Napoleon?
Napoleon? Who's he to have a cake? He was a ruthless warmonger. Might as well get a Mengele.
That was our babka. We had that babka.
What's this one?
That cinnamon babka.
Another babka?
But I don't want to be a
secondary character.
Hello, mates.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the final episode of But I Don't Want to Be a Secondary Character. This is a podcast about Seinfeld, the greatest sitcom of all time, and we talk about the secondary characters in each episode in random order. And this is, like I mentioned, our final episode, the dinner party from season 5, and lots of feels, guys.
So many feels.
Yeah, lots of feels. I was saying to Ivan before we started recording that I don't really feel things until they're either happening or until after the fact. And as soon as you hit record and as soon as we started talking, the feels are coming up.
It's starting to come up, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it'll be a emotional ride.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's the way it should be.
The way it should be, yeah. And I mean, we are moving on to big things. I mean, at the end of the show, we'll tell you what we're doing, like Stephen and I, for the short while.
Yep.
Yeah,
More things to come.
More things to come,
Watch
indeed.
this space, as they say in the media.
That's
Indeed.
exactly right.
Indeed.
And we do have a much loved and much familiar guest, Max, with us. They've joined us for many, many episodes. So welcome back, Max. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Thank you for having me. It's so nice to be here with you both instead of sitting in my wardrobe
Yeah.
talking to my laptop screen.
Yeah, those are the days
was
during
so-
lockdown, huh?
Oh my God, that was so weird.
That was fun.
And yeah, I'm honoured to be back here. I'm honoured to be a part of the last episode. Hopefully people might recognise my voice. I've been on the episode a bunch with the boys before. I used to go by Stacey as part of my journey into my non-binary hood. I'm now going by the name Max. So yeah, nice to be back, even though I don't sound any different. My name sounds different, but I'm still me.
Yeah.
You are.
And yeah, it's nice to be back, but also, yeah, very bittersweet. But I'm so proud of you guys for what you've done.
Thanks.
And
Yeah.
it's been a pleasure to be a part of it. I remember even when I was like still traveling overseas and I would send you photos and stuff like before I ever got back, and then you're like, you should come on the pod, and I was like, oh my God, that'd be so much fun. So yeah, long time in the making.
Yeah. Over 4 years, and all three of us, I was saying off air that we've gone through so much shit mentally, physically, with myself and other things as well, and we've all come out the other side.
Yeah, and I was saying, just to add to that Seinfeld has been one of the through lines through our individual and collective hardships. We've all gone through COVID, which has been a struggle for everyone on some level, some people more than others. Ivan's gone through his stuff, myself, Max, and Seinfeld. Life, exactly.
Yeah, life, yeah.
Yeah, and Seinfeld is not the only through line or the only balm, as Jackie Charles would say, but it has...
Put the balm on.
Life did. And I applied it liberally.
You did.
I used the whole container of balm. And I lost that court case, which is fine. But Seinfeld is, and I'm sure many of you can relate, it's safe, it's reliable, it's
like glue for humanity.
It is. It's like an old friend. It's just
Yeah.
something you can turn to, even if it's not something you've had in your life for a while.
It's so familiar.
Yeah, and the podcast has been a massive part of our lives, again, individually as well as collectively, for the last 4 and a bit years. And it's taken us in directions that I never thought possible. We got nominated for an award.
Yeah.
We've got to interview really cool people. We've had awesome guests, inclling Max and other people from around the world. It's been a journey, and it's brutally hard in some ways that it's coming to an end, because it's not only been fun, but it's been really enlightening. I've discovered a lot about myself, not just as a podcaster, but just as a person. It's helped me in ways outside of the podcasting world. I've become really good mates with Ivan, which is great. Max has become good friends with Ivan. You know, it's just talking about Seinfeld.
I got to meet Butters.
You did the dog,
Farfel. Our very own Farfel.
Yes, he's lying at my feet right now.
The non-annoying version of Farfel.
Yeah.
So my point is that the podcast has been really fun. Talking about Seinfeld is something I do a lot in my personal life anyway. So to record it and put it out there, and for some people out there in the podcast ether to enjoy it, has been a bonus. But the flow and effect into other parts of my life, as a person, as someone who likes to be creative in some way, you know, my interpersonal relationships with both of you and other people, it's the positives that have come out of it have been far beyond just the podcast itself. It's been a total boon to my life in ways that I can talk about and also ways that I can't really articulate. So part of that is also you, the listeners. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I guess we got to say, like, if it wasn't for you guys, we probably wouldn't have carried on. I mean, like, the fact, you know, so many people have listened to us and they've got in touch with us. And, you know, when we've said at the start of this podcast series way back when that Steve and I, you know, we were coming up with ideas for the show, and you know, lots of other people already talked about Seinfeld episodes, so we're like, oh, let's do something different. And we thought maybe, you know, this might be a bit of a silly concept talking about this, but we've had so much positive reception. People have saying this is like a great concept, you know, and people have enjoyed it. So yeah, I have you guys, the listeners, to thank so much for letting us continue.
Yeah,
it's been a huge boon. And yeah, even for me, like, you know, being from community radio, you know, doing a podcast for the first time, setting up all the equipment at home and stuff, it's a bit of a boon. And and I've learned a lot about myself as well. And it's been great, you know, reliving one of my favorite shows, you know, in order. It's taken 4 years to do every episode, but it's been wonderful, and
Whenever
I'm glad.
you want to do a Sopranos podcast, you know who to call.
Yeah. We might do that.
Did you ever notice how Lou Gehrig was the only person to have Lou Gehrig's disease?
That's it. You'll be Christopher. And I'll be Tony.
Christopher? Oh, that was terrible. I just always love the way his partner... What is his partner?
Adriana
Yeah,
Lacerda.
the way she always would say
Christopher?
his name.
Chewing gum.
Good times. But anyway, we can we talk a bit more about our feelings at the end, but I guess we better get on with the episode, hey? So Seinfeldisms, the very last Seinfeldisms segment, and unfortunately, I tried getting something for the final episode. I could not get anything for Seinfeldisms. I'm really sorry.
Well, you should have done a Costanza and just made something up and gone with it.
I should have, but I'm not really a good liar. So
True.
I feel terrible for lying. So unfortunately, to finish off the series, no Seinfeldisms for me. I'm sorry. I tried, looked high and low. I guess you could say, like a repeat Seinfeldism, I saw the Latte Larry's mural driving past Richmond.
Yeah.
Hey, it counts. Hey, I've used that more than once.
Yeah.
So
I'll use that as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, you know what? I've just thought of a Seinfeldism for you. You have a couch and Jerry has a couch. So
there's no pee stains on the mattress on the couch.
Not visibly.
No.
Not visibly. On the underside of that cushion that I can see, there is definitely a pee stain. Go with it. Just go with it. Yeah.
Puppy, Ivan's a little bit sloppy.
He is.
Yeah.
I have one Seinfeldism. I was walking near my house the other day and I saw a young person walking past me, and I quickly clocked that they had a t-shirt that had like the Seinfeld logo or some sort of, it might have been like a, you know, adaptation, like some brands, you know, like a skate brand or something, they might use the Seinfeld logo.
Sure.
I didn't actually see what it was, but I just clocked the very familiar, like the coloring and the yellow circle and the text. And that's it.
Cool.
What about you, Max?
I had a couple of Seinfeld quotes come up in this group that I'm working through at the moment, but I can't remember what any of the quotes were, but there's been several, like in the last couple of weeks. I think we're probably up to like 3 or maybe 4 quotes that have just kind of been thrown around, and then someone else like recognizes it, and then we all have a little chuckle. And then I've also walked past the Latte Larry's sign in Richmond in the last like week or 2.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. All right, well, that'll do. Yes.
That'll have to do.
We made it.
We did, yeah, after all that time.
No more Seinfeldisms. And speaking of Seinfeldisms, normally we mention at the top of the episode that we do have a group. We run the biggest Seinfeld community on the Facebook, maybe the internet, I don't know. It's called Seinfeldisms. Check it out. We're up to nearly 150,000 members.
What?
Probably 150 by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
I think it's 148.1 thousand members.
It's insane. It's insane.
I know. So yeah, check that out. We've also got an email address, BIDWBASC@gmail.com. We're on all forms of social media, BIDWBASC, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Facebook. After this podcast ends, most of those social media channels will kind of be winding down. So yeah, if you want to scroll back and
If you
check
have
out
anything that you really need to get off your chest. Oh, there was definitely Festivus quotes in my Seinfeldisms.
Oh, in your Seinfeldism, right.
I've just remembered
Okay,
there was
wicked.
Festivus. But yeah, if
you had the aluminium pole.
If there's any airing of grievances
I was gonna say,
that your listenership has been hanging on to, now is the time to send them through before the accounts.
Send it through to anything about me, Stephen or Max. Just let us know.
Yep.
Yeah, we'd love to hear them.
Yeah. Tell us whatever you've been resenting about us for the last 4 years.
Yep.
Now's
It's
the time to let them
air
out.
the grievances.
That's it.
That's
I imagine there's a lot, so get in 9 months before the real Festivus.
Yeah,
You know,
please.
so yeah, get them in.
You have tons of time.
Yeah, that's right. So check all those out. We'd have a Patreon as well, which you can check out. All those links are in the show notes. The Patreon will be evolving into more of a general Patreon, which we'll talk about a bit at the end of the episode as well.
Yeah, and it's going to help fund our future projects. So, don't feel like, you've missed the boat because we finished BIDWBASC.
We do have 3 microphones now.
True.
We do, yeah. Patreon paid for the third mic.
Woo! We made it!
We did.
That was my goal for being on this podcast, was to get to 3 microphones.
That's right, because you and Stephen would share a microphone.
We'd always share them, and so now we've got one each.
Fantastic.
We did
made
it.
We did it.
Thanks to you, whoever supported us on Patreon.
Thank you for my microphone.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's much appreciated.
Couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah, indeed. All right, the final Seinfeld news. You got 2 pieces, right?
Yeah, 2 pieces of news this week. Yeah, so Jerry Seinfeld is selling one of his many, many homes. Recently, he listed a property in a place called Telluride. It's in Colorado.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that place.
Yeah, he's selling his home there for $14.95 million US.
Spare change.
Yeah, spare change. So it's on a property.
Is it a ranch?
No, it's like a big. It's almost like a home that you would see in what's the place where all the Aspen.
Oh,
it's like a big. It's like a
chalet?
giant chalet. It's like a wooden cabin, but in like a giant mansion style.
Like the one in Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Where he takes a shit in the broken toilet.
Yeah.
One of those kind of houses.
Yeah.
A
chalet.
Chalets, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So in the article that we'll link in the show notes, you can check it out. There's tons of photos. It looks like a very, very nice place.
It does.
It'd want to be for $15 million US.
You'd hope so.
That's right. The house is on 27 acres. They originally bought it in 2005, I believe, for about $7.5 million. So the fact that it's more than doubled, is.
Do you reckon it's worth more now because Jerry Seinfeld is selling it?
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
In past Seinfeld news, we've talked about how he's bought and sold cars, like he collects rare European cars, and he'll sell a Porsche for $500,000, but ordinarily, if it was owned by someone who's not Jerry Seinfeld, it might have gone for $400,000. So his name definitely adds value to, or not value, but adds zeros to the price tag for sure.
Especially after the series as well, I feel like too.
Yeah.
The comedians in cars specifically. If he's buying and selling cars and he's now got a show about cars, makes sense.
Because Jerry has had a renaissance in the last, say, 5 years or so, with his comedy specials, comedians in cars getting coffee. So
Still never watched that stand-up special. I'm not game enough
The
to...
23 Hours to Kill, the latest one.
Oh, it's all right, I guess.
I don't want to for risk of changing my relationship with Jerry Seinfeld.
Fair enough. We'll just stick with Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Even comedians in cars getting coffee, it's a lighthearted,
It's
show.
lighthearted.
Yeah,
There's still a few moments where I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, why I haven't gone to the special, because I'm like,
Sure.
oh.
Just stick with Seinfeld.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I found he didn't touch on any topics that were controversial or I disagreed with. I just found it very dull. It's just very safe.
It's not his best stand-up special.
No. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's I've seen worse stand-up specials, but yeah, if you kind of don't want to denigrate your opinion of him as a comedic genius, maybe avoid it.
He's too precious.
Yeah, he's too precious.
I find Jerry's stand-up, I mean, we're going on a bit of a tangent here, but I find his stand-up best consumed as it's presented to you in the show. 30 seconds, 1 or 2 little bits, and that's it. But when it's like bit after bit after bit, I do find it gets a bit dull.
Because let's be honest, I love the man. Please take all of this with a grain of salt, but he's kind of one note.
Yeah.
Like his whole career is, have you ever noticed?
We can say this because it's our last episode.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do about it?
I love him. He's a pain in the ass. He's super opinionated. Like, even in some of the episodes of I know we are getting on a tangent now, but even in some of the episodes of Comedians in Cars, and you're just like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, shut up. I love him.
Yeah.
But his comedy is pretty one note.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's incredibly funny.
Yeah, it works. Like for Jerry, for me, I feel like he's good.
The simplicity
He's good. The simplicity.
It's like Italian food, you know?
Yeah. But he's good like
From
being
Tuscany.
Yeah, but he's good at like what he does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like with the observational humor, he does it really well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why he's like a master
And
comedian.
also his stubbornness and his stuck in the mudness adds to his observational humor sometimes because he's so like set in those ways.
Yeah.
He makes it funny by how hard he sticks to his guns
Yeah.
with that stuff.
And because that's been his go-to for 40 years now, nearly 50, he's gotten really good at it.
Yes.
He's become a master of one thing as
Yes.
opposed to a jack of all trades.
Yes.
And every comedian has their style, but a lot of comedians have more diversity. They
Yes.
different topics or different styles. I always compare him to like the AC/DC of comedy. We found something, it works, shitloads of people like it. And they're like, well, rather than reinvent my own wheel,
Yeah.
I'll just repeat it and do slight alterations through
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
probably track slight differences over the years,
Yeah.
like topics as like different things become popular and unpopular, but it's the same rudimentary formula. And
Yeah.
he's become a master of one thing, which is very admirable. And
Yep, I agree.
that's
And
why
we
we
all
love him.
still love it.
Exactly.
we do.
Anyway, back to Seinfeld.
Good for Jerry.
Housing, real estate?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
so-
got pocket change.
He did,
basically.
he did, yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah, and that routine allows him to buy and sell $50 million houses. And we took 2 years to buy a third mic. So,
That's right.
good on him.
If we get like $100,000 donation anonymous, I'll be like, Jerry.
Yep.
Thanks, Jerry.
I'm going to buy the bathtub in his
love you,
$15 million
Jerry.
house.
Nice.
Yeah.
With $100,000.
I just
Will that be enough?
I love that episode of, I know, sorry, but
It's
the episode
fine.
of Comedians in
fine.
Cars when him and Ricky Gervais, and then Ricky Gervais is like feeling like conflicted about going into that pastry shop, and then he feels like he should because they were going to, but then they leave, and then he's like, we could just go in there and buy a bunch of stuff and then throw it out if that makes you feel better. And it's like, that's what two very, very wealthy, successful comedians get to be like, we can go in there and buy some stuff just to make you feel less guilty,
Yep.
and then immediately throw it in the bin because we have that much money. It's the one where they're in the Rolls Royce,
Right.
Oh, right.
and
Yeah.
then they don't have any cash to give the guy that's like knocking on windows asking for money. And they're like, we're in a fucking
Well,
Rolls.
for me, I'd eat the baked goods. Like,
Yeah.
Of course.
I can't let it go to waste.
No, but it's it just goes to show like when you're that successful, you can just be like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've thrown away stuff I've bought before and I'm not that successful.
did you
so-
buy it just to make somebody else? Did you buy it to appease your own guilt though?
No, I think I bought stuff to make other people feel better. Like just as like a show of support. Like if someone's doing like a creative thing. Like
Sure.
I've gone to see mates' bands
Yeah.
who I think are terrible. But
But
I'm like,
this is a complete stranger
Yeah.
in a bakery
That's true.
in a town that he doesn't live in. But he's like, anyway, we're getting very off.
yeah.
It would be
Houses.
nice to be very rich, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Yes, houses, baked goods.
Yep.
I mean, Jerry's got it all.
If you want to help us in our goal to be rich, support us on Patreon.
Or if you want to send us baked goods and you're in Melbourne,
Yes.
we'll set up a PO box and you can send them there.
That's exactly right.
It's called my mouth.
Deliver it to my mouth.
Yes.
The pastry.
Of course.
Second bit of news, and this isn't really news per se, but I thought I'd include it because it came up in my Seinfeld news search. The ABC, which is a much loved and much respected institution, depending on who you are, in Australian
the
media.
Australian
The Australian Broadcasting Corporation, not to be confused with the American Broadcasting Corporation.
No.
ABC.
So all of our Australian and most likely British listeners probably understand what the ABC is. Just in case you don't, or if you're an American or non-British or non-Australian listener, it's basically our public channel, similar to the
public
BBC or the
access.
CBC in Canada.
Yep.
Or CBS, I think in America.
PBS.
Sorry, PBS.
Yeah,
PBS,
yeah.
CBS, yes. They did a little sort of entertainment article where they rewatched the pilots of Seinfeld, The OC and Veep, basically to see if they stack up against, to see if they hold up.
Yeah.
I didn't read the OC and the Veep takes. I imagine Veep would be a pretty successful outcome because it's a pretty modern show anyway.
Yeah,
It
it's only been
started
out
in
recently.
2012,
Yeah.
2013. And it's great, so it holds up. The OC, I didn't really care about, but basically this guy wrote off Seinfeld. He wasn't too friendly about it.
What was he saying?
Based off the pilot alone.
Yeah, so they just rewatched the pilot of the three shows to see if they hold up.
Was he more critical of the quality of the pilot? Because obviously the pilot episode isn't the best one.
Yeah.
But was he more critical of the structure or more like the content of it?
He didn't really talk about the pilot per se. See, I would understand it as, does the pilot not only stand up to what people expect or watch now, but does it stand up to the rest of the series?
Yeah.
Often, that's what is
but
that's
it
what he
doesn't.
meant.
No, but I thought that was the angle he was going to go for.
Yeah,
But it doesn't.
yeah.
The only sort of observation he makes about the pilot specifically is that because it doesn't have a lane, it's a very obvious difference.
Yeah.
And that the show is better off after the pilot for having Elaine in it, which we'll agree with.
Yeah, that's true.
But most of his observation is about how most of the jokes wouldn't wash these days due to a combination of, different standards of, or expectations
It was a
amongst
different
society.
time, though.
And also just how some of the storylines don't hold out because of changes in technology. And I'm like, if you're writing an article, most of his observations or takes were a bit redundant.
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, it's not really the best. I mean, it was a different time.
Yeah.
1989.
Yeah,
It was
you can
different time.
apply that logic to any show prior to mobile phones or the internet. These storylines wouldn't make sense now.
And
because
some of their most seminal storylines are situations where that kind of, lack of like the technology we have now, so many of the best, I think some of the best episodes they have are ones where it wouldn't stand up now because of Chinese restaurant.
Or when the movie.
And the
when they're all in the
movie.
theater trying to find each other.
Yeah, and what we're going to do today.
Yeah, the dinner party.
Yeah,
that's it.
like-
it all works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
it sounds like a dumb article to me.
Yeah, it seems like
it sounds terrible. I'm sorry.
it just sounds like a bit of filler. Like, we've got an article, we've got a quota to fill. Write some bullshit.
Yeah.
And also,
whatever.
why? So I get like Seinfeld and Veep, but how does the OC fit in that
I have no
trilogy?
idea. I don't know.
It should have been like Seinfeld, Friends, and
Yeah.
I don't know, Malcolm in the Middle.
They
or some
probably
shit.
wanted to compare different decades. Like, obviously, Seinfeld came out 89. OC was like 2001,
The noughties.
2003, 2004,
Yeah, it was very
maybe.
noughties.
And
Yep.
then Veep came out in the
Yeah,
2010s. It's probably just to
true.
compare, different decades and see how they held up.
Anyway.
Yeah, it was a bit random. I thought I'd include it because it is technically a Seinfeld news article.
Yeah.
But a bit of a dud article. I will add though that I did say before that the only really valuable observation he makes about the pilot is that Elaine is not in it and how the show got better with her in it. Also that the pilot contains a lot more stand-up footage because that was the original angle of the show. It was like mostly going to be about Jerry as a comedian, how he comes up with material, and that is peppered throughout the show, but it didn't
It
really
evolves.
it doesn't really, I think after the pilot aired, they were like, you know what, let's focus on the characters more than just Jerry being a comedian and him doing his comedy thing.
And then in later seasons, they ditched the whole comedy thing in general.
Yeah.
Entirely, and let's do the story.
Yeah.
Imagine what it would have been like though if there'd never been an Elaine written into the show. If it had just
Well, the
been...
original from the pilot, I can't remember her
Claire
name.
the waitress.
She sort of gives George a bit of shit. She's like, what does she say? She's like, what is it, like hot coffee, cold coffee? No.
Oh, decaf and caf. Caffeinated,
decaffeinated. She was going to be the female character. But
Yeah,
then
Like Cheers.
she was going to
Yeah.
be like the typical like 80s, 90s sitcom trope where, like the main character goes to a cafe or, like in Home
And there's
Improvement
that,
with
like,
Wilson.
the female
Yeah.
touch.
Yeah, or like those characters who
Yeah.
are always in just like one, like Wilson
Yeah.
from Home Improvement, and other characters like that as well, just being in that same setting. So I think that's what they were trying to do, but then they realized that Seinfeld has to be a different show,
Yeah.
so they ditched it. So in a way, we're glad that they did it.
And I feel like they hit the jackpot with JLD.
Yeah.
No, well,
100%.
I don't think anybody else could have done it in the way that she did it, and that character is so strong.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, one of the best, if
One
not
of
the best.
If not the best,
Yeah, for
pretty
sure.
close.
JLD is, Elaine is probably the most universally loved character. Like some people, like I've seen people say they don't like Jerry, they like Jerry, they like George, they don't like George. I've never heard anyone say they don't really like maybe some aspects about Elaine or some of her storylines, but overall as a character, I don't think
She
I've
has
ever come
moments
across
of just like
unlikability.
well, and just in an intensity that doesn't land at times, but I feel like on the whole, she's the
She's a solid
mostly
character. Yeah.
consistent and likable and entertaining.
Yeah, you're either a fan of Elaine Bennis and JLD or a member of Al Qaeda. That's
Well, ISIS these days.
yeah, ISIS.
Yeah, one
Like
of the two.
those are the two parties.
Yeah.
That's right.
You choose.
You
Either you
choose.
like it or get fucked.
Pretty much.
basically,
Pretty
yeah.
much, yeah. That's all the news, buddy.
That's it.
Right. Well, there we go. Our very last, first part of the episode. Well, let's have one more break, and when we come back, we are talking about some secondary characters from today's episode, our final episode of BIDWBASC from
The
season
dinner party.
from season 5.
Hello, folks. Matt McCoy here, a.k.a. Lloyd Braun from Seinfeld. And I'm telling you right now, I do not want to be a secondary character.
The Dinner Party was from Season 5, Episode 13, first aired in the US on February 3rd, 1994, directed by Tom Sharones and written by Larry David. In this episode, en route to a dinner party, Jerry and Elaine stop off at a bakery and get held up when the bakery runs out of what they want to purchase, a chocolate babka. So they go for the lesser cinnamon babka, which I actually like cinnamon over chocolate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'd go chocolate personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had a choice, I'd also happily take cinnamon. I'm not going to turn down
if there was
vodka.
none left.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I just like the taste of cinnamon. Yeah, I like chocolate too, but I don't know. Just it's good because one time my fiance made chocolate cinnamon babka.
Oh.
So she mixed both of them together.
Right.
It was almost like the black and white cookie. You know, they come together and it's like a racial harmony.
In perfect harmony.
In perfect harmony,
Until
yeah.
you vomit
Yeah.
in a bakery bathroom.
Yeah.
That's
I was
right.
going to say, like, the black and white cookie was obviously a direct allegory for white people and African Americans in America or anywhere. But I guess cinnamon maybe like, I don't know, like African American,
progressive?
like, or like African American Middle Eastern relations. I would associate the cinnamon, you know, as like a spice in like the Middle East or
Yes.
Right.
something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're
could
using
also-
bakery foods for allegories of race relations.
Well, my fiance
that's-
brought white people and Middle Eastern people together by baking it.
Beautiful.
It worked out.
no, black people,
Oh,
and Middle Eastern people.
Well, whoops, sorry, yes, African and Middle Eastern people, yes.
yeah. She brought everyone together.
Everyone
loves
together,
babka.
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
It's sweet bread. What's not to like?
That's fantastic.
Yeah. The people who don't like babka are the same people who don't like JLD.
Or if they've got
members of terrorist organizations.
Or if they have gluten intolerance. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't you can't help
That's
that.
fair.
Yeah, I'll let them slide.
We'll
Let them
hold it
slide.
against you, but we understand.
Yeah,
That's right.
Privately, I'll hold it against you, but publicly, I'll be very nice about it.
Indeed. Meanwhile, George and Kramer, en route to the same dinner party, stop off at a liquor store to buy a bottle of wine and have a hard time picking one out. And this is essentially like Jerry and Elaine go up to do something, and then Kramer and George go up to do
Yeah.
something. So it's just like those two, the group branch off into two, and
Yep.
they do their own thing.
Yeah, definitely a bottleneck episode.
It is a
you know.
bottleneck. Yeah. Yep.
You know, where there's no scenes at any familiar sets. There's nothing in the apartment. There's nothing.
There's a
in-
brief stint in the apartment right at the beginning
true.
before they
That's-
leave.
that's true.
But it's like very brief.
Yeah, the first minute or two.
Mm.
Yeah, there's nothing amongst.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing anywhere. The only other than the apartment that you mentioned was the only familiarity I found was them in the car together. You know, that is something that happens from time to time, but that doesn't last long either. They split off and get into their own little weird adventures.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah.
Well, the idea is to divide and conquer, but obviously they
divide and get
fail.
conquered. Yeah,
Yeah.
divide and
very,
get conquered.
very badly.
Yeah.
So some secondary characters in the episode. Mark Holton, he plays David, and Susie Sorrow plays Barbara. They're the two at the bakery who get the last chocolate babka. Catherine Cates plays the counterwoman with the really bad cough. Amjad...
And attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, very bad attitude. Amjad J. Kassin, he plays the Saddam Hussein lookalike, and he was voiced by Larry David in an uncredited role. We'll explain in trivia what happened. And Frank Novus plays the liquor store clerk. So they're the other secondary characters. Of course, there's some others as well, but I didn't get their credits. But trivia, I did mention the Saddam Hussein character. The actor who played him had a really thick accent, and apparently his lines were deemed incomprehensible when they were trying to edit it. So Larry David dubbed over the dialogue, and he put on an English accent.
Oh, so
Yes.
that was just kind of like happenstance.
Yeah, happenstance.
Because it's so odd when he opens his mouth and starts speaking and has that really thick British accent. It's very like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's Larry, yeah. Because apparently, originally Hussein, that's how
Yeah.
they credited the character, he was meant to ask Kramer and George for directions.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love it how he's like, oh, you're not wearing a coat. Aren't you going to get cold?
You're going to get
You're
cold out
proper in
here.
British.
You'll catch the death of cold.
You're
That's
gonna
what he
get-
says. You'll catch the
You'll
death
catch
of
the
cold.
death of cold.
Initially, when I first heard it, I thought he said, you'll catch a deathly cold, which is a common thing to say, like you'll get deathly ill or whatever. But then I was reading, there's a website called Seinfeldscripts.com.
Yep.
And I was, for some reason, reading through it, and I came across that line, and he says, you'll catch a death of cold, which is like a really old British, like sort of almost colonial term for like you'll get, it's like, you know, when people say like, what's on tonight's menu? A soup of pumpkin. It's like a thing, it's like a thing of thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
almost
yeah.
like from that time. So yeah, he's
Ye
obviously...
oldie English.
Yeah,
Ye olde English, basically.
Yeah. Maybe, you know, when we talk about him as a secondary, maybe we can talk about, you know, why he chose that, you know, maybe his education or something.
Or maybe it was Saddam in hiding.
Yeah.
And he put on the accent.
True.
He went to New York for some business.
But he's wearing a military uniform.
Yeah.
so
That's
he's not
right.
doing a very good job of hiding.
He's a terrible person to be in disguise.
This British accent will cover
I
me.
just imagine him like walking around a corner and then pulling off his mask, and it's fucking, what's that guy's name from Mission Impossible? Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
With like a diamond in his pocket.
Yeah.
What trivia do you have?
What trivia do I have? There's an episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee from 2012. I didn't catch which episode. where Jerry in real life admits to not actually liking black and white cookies.
Okay.
This episode where he loves them.
Yeah.
They're not only a sweet dessert for him, they represent, a better world.
Well, obviously, semi-fictional Jerry and real Jerry are two different characters. So, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, maybe he stopped liking him at the end of this episode because it not only made him feel sick, but it broke his spew record.
Since 1980.
1980.
But while they were recording the episode, you know how like when they do food stuff, they have to like take the bite, so he probably had to take like 30 bites.
Yeah.
Of black and white cookies, and then was like, you know what, I'm done.
That's what did it. He's like, nah, I'm done. I'm done with this shit.
Yep, I'm done. I normally listen to Seinfeld, an episode of this, because they always mention good things. And they actually mention that if you watch the scenes where he's eating the cookie, every time it cuts back to him, the cookie's like flipped. So sometimes the black and white sides are flipped because they did so many takes where he'd have to bite a fresh cookie. When they edited it together,
they're not matched.
It's different all the time.
Yeah.
And after I listened to that, I watched it and I paid attention to that. And it's true. You see, it swaps about 3 or 4 times.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, yeah. Do you have any other trivia?
Yeah, this is the only episode where Jerry uses a prop during his closing credit stand-up routine.
Yeah,
the red hat with the flaps. He talks about it. Yeah. So it's the only time where he's actually used a prop. And, in a couple of episodes, he's mocked prop comics.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, so, and he uses a prop in this
Who's
instance.
the guy with the braces?
Oh,
Banya?
yeah. No, not Banya,
Jerry.
no.
Jerry
The
uses
other guy.
Jerry
No,
uses
the prop comic.
Oh,
The
you
one
mean,
who wants to put his stuff in Jerry's closet.
And he's got the fake gun, and then George freaks out.
I can't remember his name.
I forgot his
Anyway,
name, but yeah.
yes, we
But he's got
don't
the
like
fake gun.
prop comics.
Yeah, prop
No.
comics. Yeah, but Jerry uses a prop.
There you
but
go.
I think if you look at that joke, I think it's better that he had that prop to better explain the joke. Because if he tried to describe the hat, it just wouldn't work. So I think in a way, he kind of broke
a flap hat.
A red one. He kind of broke conventions.
Yeah.
But he used it, but it kind of made the joke funnier.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
There has been a couple of other times he's used props. I can't remember the actual comedy, but there's one where he chews gum and the comedy is about the gum, so which I guess is technically a prop. But yeah, he's not normally a prop comic. But I think you're right in that he used it in a way that actually added to his little skit there.
Yeah, it added to the skit for sure. Yeah, no, it just made it better, made it funnier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The final bit of trivia I have is that the ringdings that George is a massive champion of,
And Pepsi.
Pepsi and ringdings.
Pepsi and ringdings.
I like how it
I
lands
was really
like
going to bring a
we're
bottle
adults.
of
Because
Pepsi.
we're
adults. I'm like, hang on.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Pepsi's great. A dinner
For a pizza party.
Yeah, a dinner party is
Not a
like
dinner
supposed to be a
party.
tiny bit more sophisticated and a bit more adult. Like you bring wine, even if you don't drink wine, bring the wine.
And even with Pepsi, you better put some spirits in it. For
Yeah,
adults.
nobody
Yeah.
shows up with a 2-liter bottle of Pepsi.
We're not 15 years old.
Yeah, I like how Jerry, his expression when he's like, I don't think it'll be good, if we turn up and we put a big tub of Pepsi on the table.
A
Just his
2-liter
facial-
jug of Pepsi.
A 2-liter jug of Pepsi on the table. How he emphasizes Pepsi in his facial expression. Kill me.
Yeah, it kills me. Yeah. No,
What are
some good
ringdings, though?
They're almost like, the way I understand them is almost like a wagon wheel. They're like a chocolate disc.
Oh, right. Yeah,
But so wagon
yeah.
wheels, I think they have them in America, or maybe they're Australian.
No, they're Australian. It's basically like biscuit
With marshmallow and jam.
topped with chocolate and jam. Yeah,
And jam, yeah.
So
So
well,
they're
jam
like-
in the middle, and then topped with chocolate.
Yeah.
It's like a s'more.
Yeah, kind of with jam.
but
With jam.
it's more like a vanilla cream, I think, in the middle. But it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
on the outside, it kind of looks like a wagon wheel.
Yeah, right.
It's like a chocolate disc with some stuff inside. Yeah, so they're actually a Drake product. So Drake,
Ah, coffee cake.
Drake's coffee cake.
Perfect.
Drake also make ringdings. So
Okay.
it's the second Drake product in the show.
Nod to the
Beautiful.
Drake.
Nod to
Love the Drake.
Love the Drake.
Hate the Drake.
Hate the Drake. Well, if the Drake is ringdings and coffee cake, love the Drake.
Love
If there's anything else, hate the Drake.
We love that Drake, but not
Love-
the Drake.
yeah.
like we
love-
mentioned a few weeks ago.
I love bakery Drake.
Yeah, love Drakery.
Love baked goods. Anyway, let's do this for the very last time, folks. Let's talk about the secondary characters from an episode of Seinfeld, The Dinner Party, our very last one, like I keep mentioning all the time. Steve, who are we talking about first?
Why don't we talk about, because we've already mentioned him a bit, the Saddam Hussein lookalike.
Yes, I didn't get his credits, but he's played by Amjad J. Kassim. But due to his thick accent, he was voiced by Larry David post-production in an uncredited role. So Saddam, I mean, he just looks a lot like him. He's in a military uniform. He's probably like a military...
Very odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really strange, but you have some great points. But I was watching it and was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, he does look like, like a soul, like, a dictator. In that
Yeah.
game. Maybe he is either he was going to a party, like a
I-
cosplay party or
Like a dress-up
like a
party, maybe?
fancy dress party, and he dressed like Saddam Hussein.
Yeah.
Like Prince Harry in the SS uniform.
Oh shit!
It's
Not like that.
It's very weird.
Well,
It's a
it
very
makes-
weird choice for them to be like.
It makes sense though, because the Gulf War started in
Yeah.
what 1990, 1991.
Yeah.
And you know, Gulf
It's
War, like
topical.
Iraq was like, it was topical. So maybe I'm going to say he went to a fancy dress party as Saddam Hussein.
Yep. Okay.
That's the way I'm going to say.
Oh, so it's just like some British guy
Yep.
who's dressed like Saddam.
Yeah,
Hussein.
and he went to a party, and obviously, Saddam Hussein was relevant in that time.
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
It just
so.
it feels very strange. But
Yeah.
you had some great points.
Well, I picked up that, like, if he's just on his own, it's just like this random little sort of storyline right at the end of like Saddam Hussein and George like thinking, hang on, is that Saddam?
Yeah.
It's just so out of the blue, especially in such a grounded, simple episode. But they do kind of set up the dictator idea, because Elaine mentions when Jerry's suggesting other cakes, he says the Napoleon cake, and Elaine's like, why would we get a
He was a
Napoleon cake?
vicious
Yeah.
warmonger.
He was a
Vicious
vicious
warmonger,
warmonger.
yeah.
And also, just before George and Kramer see, quote, Saddam, he does say that being double parked causes so much frustration and rage that this is how dictators start. And I think he mentions Mussolini.
Yeah,
and
he's like,
maybe-
do you
He
think
mentions
Mussolini's
Mussolini,
driving
yeah.
around the block?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they do kind of make a little, they make a few little references to dictators.
They
They
set
do.
it
Which
up.
kind of,
Yes,
which
yes.
kind of does set up the Saddam thing, but I agree with you, Max, in that it's just so like it's funny. It's funny, but it's just like it's such a simple, grounded episode. There's not much really going on. There's not really a lot of moving parts.
No.
And then all of a sudden, it feels like almost like a season 8 or 9 storyline, but not as fleshed out. Like it's not a whole episode. It's just this little. It's almost like they were like, we want to incorporate dictators somehow. How can we do it? And they were just like, let's just chuck it in here. It just seemed it's a great addition. I think it adds to the episode.
Yeah.
But it takes you out of it for a bit, and you're like, yeah, it's just so strange.
And
Yeah,
then
it's a
the
bit
British
wacky, yeah.
accent as well.
Yeah.
As well,
Yeah.
which doesn't make sense, because obviously Saddam didn't have a British accent.
No.
So,
No.
yeah.
And I wonder if, because obviously, like, as we were just saying before, like the lines and the language that he uses when Larry's doing the voiceover is this sort of ye olde, very proper Queen's English.
Yeah.
I wonder if those are the same lines that they wanted the actor himself to say, or if they changed the dialogue.
What?
No, I mentioned in the trivia that he was originally meant to ask them for directions.
Oh, yes, you
So
did
but-
say that.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
Larry
They were the
overdubbed
lines
it.
that ad-libbed
Yeah, so
over
they
the top.
changed up the lines because Larry was. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
also kind of interesting.
Interesting how they
Like,
went with that.
Had a different idea and then they switched it out.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
even if you look at that scene, you look at the shot with the actor who plays Hussein, he says something completely different.
Yeah.
And then he but then he farewells them.
Uh-huh.
But you can see that Larry overdubbed it, yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
right.
You can see that the
I
the
didn't
sound
know that
is
when I was watching it, so I didn't pick that up.
yeah.
My guess is as well as maybe because they were running short of time. That was like right at the end of the episode. They didn't want a whole thing where it's like they're trying to ask for directions, then George freaks out.
Yeah.
You know, and then Kramer freaks out. So they're probably like, let's just end this one, and then he drives off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. You think they would have been able to pick up that his accent was too thick as they were shooting? You think
Yeah,
they were like as he
before they
was
cast
saying a
him?
line, they would have been like,
Yeah, you think they would have done
"Ooh."
takes, yeah?
Yeah, and been like, oh, this accent might be a bit too thick for our general audience. Like, let's like recast him or ask him to maybe say something different.
Maybe
that-
the
maybe-
priority was
yeah.
because he does look a lot
Yeah.
like
Like
Saddam
Saddam
Hussein.
Hussein.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
maybe
he
the
does.
priority was the recognition and less
Actually,
so.
I can imagine on set where I'm sure it's just go, where you just like shoot, get it done.
Yeah.
And then in post production, when you're reviewing the footage and you've got more time, you're like, oh, actually,
That's
like,
what I think it was. I
As
think
we were
it was
shooting,
something
it
like
was
that.
fine.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
now
yeah.
that we think about it, maybe with test audiences, they were like, maybe not.
I'm thinking that. I'm thinking in post production they were like, oh,
And
this
maybe
doesn't
they
sound
needed
right.
the divide.
Yeah.
Maybe they needed the like very discernibly British accent so that people wouldn't misinterpret
Yeah.
the significance of the character of the
Yeah.
Saddam lookalike.
I'm
Yeah.
guessing the British accent was to also tell you as a viewer that this guy looks like Saddam, and George in the moment is understandably like, what the fuck? Because he was talking about dictators, and then all of a sudden a dictator, a very well-known dictator, turns up.
Yeah.
And he's also double parked. So it's like, it's very relevant to what's just happening. But the British accent is to tell you as a viewer that even though you understand why George is like concerned, he's obviously not Saddam. Like,
Of
you
course.
know,
What
yeah.
would Saddam be doing in the middle of Manhattan?
Yeah,
Going
yeah.
to a liquor store.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very odd.
Well, he is it looks like he's driving a Cadillac or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I can't
Anyway.
remember. Is he wearing the famous like Saddam beret?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
the-
he
like
is
the
wearing
red
He was wearing a
beret.
beret and the full uniform.
Yeah.
Right, like the green sort of.
Yeah,
army.
yeah. Like that
Yeah.
green, that khaki green. That's why I hypothesized that it was just a fancy dress party.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
he was just
that's-
going there for a party.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's a great. I think that's a great theory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Makes perfect
Yeah, I can
sense.
imagine his friends, saying, "Hey, like you look like Saddam Hussein," and he's like, "Well, I've got a fancy dress party in 2 weeks. Why don't I?"
Yep.
Maybe,
Just think.
maybe upon reflection, not the best idea to dress up as a brutal dictator.
No.
but in the moment, you'd be like, "Well, I'll take advantage of what I look like."
Yeah.
and go for it.
He went to the liquor store to get some drinks to bring, and that was it.
Yeah,
Done.
Bloody
and that's another thing Saddam Hussein wouldn't do because I think he was a Muslim.
Yeah, he wouldn't have drunk alcohol.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, at least in public, he wouldn't have
So
drunk
in
alcohol.
conclusion, he wasn't Saddam Hussein.
No, he wasn't. No, definitely not.
No.
Definitely not.
And if he was, somehow he snuck past, a huge,
TSA.
like complex immigration program
Yeah.
and like
FBI.
FBI intelligence organizations come in there and just openly
Homeland
go through New York,
Security.
Homeland
Yeah.
Security. So if
Just
he
kicking
was
around.
just kicking around casually, just interacting with the locals,
Yeah, that's it.
offering helpful advice about putting on
He's
jackets.
probably hired a car.
Yep.
Yeah.
On a complete side note, I only learned recently that Saddam Hussein was actually a prolific writer of like bad romance novels, like Mills and Boon style novels.
Oh,
What?
right.
And you can
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
read them all online.
Okay.
He was I'm talking like he obviously not available in the mainstream.
Yeah.
But if you search them out, he wrote something like 60 or 80 fully fledged like Mills like bad romance.
Well, he should have done that instead of dictating.
Well,
you
yeah. I mean, he was pretty bad at both.
Yeah, it was.
So,
He got so good at dictating the storylines to the person that was writing it. He's like, you know what? I think I could make a career out of this.
yeah. The person he was dictating to was like, you know what else you could dictate? Lots and lots of people.
You know why they
And he
found
was-
you know why they found him in that hole, yeah?
Yeah.
Because he was upset with the bad reviews. He wrote his latest book and he's like, fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm going in the hole. And then
Yeah.
they found him.
Yeah, they
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
yeah,
what happened.
they put him out of the hole and they're like, you realize, you're over. And he's like, I didn't even know that America had come. I thought I was just hiding from the bad reviews.
Yeah, that's right.
Should we be talking about this?
Probably not.
Yeah.
It's our last episode.
Oh,
We've had a couple of sneaky drinks,
Yeah.
Max bought a
Champagne.
bottle of champagne for $12.
It was going to be Beaujolais, but I
Rich
didn't
and
feel
fruity.
I didn't feel like red, so we got some champagne just
Hey.
to toast the occasion.
And it cost you $12. So.
it did not cost me $12. It
Oh, it
cost me
didn't.
more than $12.
A little bit
That's
more
because
than-
I love you.
I love you too.
$12 in 1994 terms.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Adjusted for
probably.
inflation, yeah.
Yeah.
How thoughtful.
Very thoughtful, thank you.
All right, let's talk about the sorry.
Oh,
man
sorry.
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 Man with cane is
Man
credited
with
with.
Cane, yes.
Man with cane.
He-
That's how I have him recorded.
No, that's how I've got him too. He is played by actor and writer Roger Etchbacher. As a writer, he's written for Star Trek The Next Generation. Jeez, pretty good gig. He's also written for many children's animated shows, including The Angry Beavers, Are Real Monsters, and the Super Mario Bros. Show where he was head writer.
Wow.
So incredible animated
I
shows.
those first two.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think I
What
ever
was-
watched the Mario Brothers.
what was
Oh,
the
that was
show?
in the
What was the
80s. It was like a short-lived
okay.
animated
What
series.
was the first one you mentioned?
Angry
Angry
Beavers.
Beavers.
I never watched that.
They're
Oh, it was
like-
Nickelodeon one.
Yeah,
Ah.
they're two beavers.
That angry?
Yeah.
Yes,
Ah.
very angry.
One of them more so than the other.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, they're both angry.
That's right. As an actor, he's appeared in TV shows including Step by Step, Oh Baby.
Even though that's not the theme song for
No,
the show.
it's not.
Yeah.
You think it is.
At first I was like, hang on, isn't that a New Kids on the Block song?
Yeah, it is. The Larry Sanders Show, The West Wing, and Weeds. This guy, he has absolutely no empathy. He's possibly even a sociopath.
Yeah, he seems very unconcerned about Elaine's well-being.
Yeah, doesn't give a shit. He's just
Very, very inauthentic.
inauthentic. And he says sorry not to show Elaine that he is actually sorry, but just to be polite.
Yeah.
Just be like,
I
sorry.
don't know if he even says it. To me, the way he says sorry is like actually fairly antagonistic.
It's
That
very
too,
it's
yeah,
very
yeah.
sarcastic. He's like, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I wrote down
Sorry.
Sorry.
on my notes. I was like, it's maybe the first documented, or at least like in mainstream media, the first ever evidence of vocal fry.
Vocal
'Cause I-
fry?
Sorry.
Yeah, like I feel
okay.
like he was like before his time. You
Right.
know how,
What do you
like-
mean vocal fry? Like,
So
It's-
it's that like typical like Valley Girl.
Oh,
kind of thing
yeah,
where they're
like-
oh my
like
God,
sorry. Yeah, yeah.
sorry.
Whatever.
yeah, whatever.
whatever.
Like, whatever. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
called
yeah,
vocal
yeah.
fry. But
Ah,
like,
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
is this the first evidence of vocal fry in mainstream media?
Possibly.
Possibly.
Because he's like, sorry.
So we can say
Sorry.
he's a valley girl from Southern California.
But yeah, I also had like not empathic.
Yep.
Doesn't
no
give a
empathy,
shit,
no,
doesn't even really like look back over his shoulder. Like he says sorry as he's walking away. Doesn't
He only
really
says sorry because Elaine
yells at him.
Yeah.
He doesn't like, he
No,
doesn't-
he's not genuinely sorry.
No, he wouldn't have stopped and turned around and apologized and asked if she was okay. If she said nothing, he would have just kept on going, knowing full well that he would have felt that,
Yeah.
like, because
You would think.
Well, I mean, I've never used a cane, but I imagine you would get familiar with the feeling of a floor, and then all
If
of a
there was
sudden,
a toe underneath.
yeah,
it.
like that sudden change in sensation would register on some level, and you go, I'm putting my cane on something different.
Also,
Maybe.
Elaine
Yeah.
says ow, like,
Yeah.
you know.
Straight away.
But I'm just saying, like, if Elaine didn't say anything,
Yeah.
he still should have turned around and gone, what was that? And then gone, oh crap.
But he
and
didn't.
apologize. Yeah, so bit of an arsehole.
But it looks like he either had like recent surgery or an accident
was
because he's wearing
wearing,
a
like,
moon
a moon
boot.
boot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe an accident or something.
Yeah, broken leg.
That doesn't stop
Maybe
you
someone
from
broke
having
his leg for being an
feelings.
asshole.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun with me.
I just thought, because he's wearing like a turtleneck and a trench coat. He
Yeah.
looks very kind of like, I want to say uppity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
His
yeah.
accent's
Just
very like,
doesn't-
sorry.
Sorry. Like he
Yeah.
just doesn't really.
He's
doesn't
almost
really
like,
give a
his
shit
accent's
about-
almost like a cartoon version
Also,
of like
at
a
that
posh
point
person.
of the episode, they're sitting on like milk crates
Mm.
in front of the display case.
Hmm.
So maybe he sort of thinks that they're, lower than him and
Yeah.
doesn't really deserve.
Mm.
He doesn't really owe them an apology because of they're kind of just in the way.
What are
at
these
that
two
point.
homeless people doing?
Yeah,
here?
like what are
Yeah,
these
yeah.
two people doing sitting on these milk
these
crates?
bubkaless losers.
Yeah, I'm
I've got
here
a
with
chocolate
my.
babka.
I'm here with my moon boot and my trench coat and my turtleneck, and I don't have time.
Mirror.
But I think this guy is probably one of the best one-line characters on the show.
Yeah.
Like, he's definitely one of the best. He's
Sorry.
just sorry.
He reminds me a lot of, and Ivan
perfect.
will appreciate this because he knows how much I love this character. Like, there's a clonk over there.
Oh, from the limo,
From
the driver, yes.
The guy at the airport.
He's one of the best
Yeah,
one-liners
it was like,
too,
there's a
yeah.
clonk over there.
There's a clock over there.
Over there.
Yeah.
I think it's the ridiculous, like,
reminds
cartoon
me-
British accent.
He reminds me of the butler from The Simpsons, who he's like, "I've had a stroke."
Yeah.
Ah,
I've
yeah.
had a stroke.
Although he's more animated
Yeah.
than the sorry guy.
Yeah. He's
Well, he's on an animated show. So.
Yeah.
I mean,
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
anyway, he's a dick.
Yeah,
He's a dick. He's a big dick.
He's a dick, but I love him.
Yeah. He's actually funny.
Yeah,
He's funny.
It's,
Sorry.
again on Signcast they were theorizing because if you watch that scene you can tell his voice was done over as well, and one of the hosts of Signcast was saying that they reckon that that's Larry David who does his voice.
Oh.
And it's not credited.
No.
It's not documented anywhere. But he's convinced that it's Larry David because it sounds apparently to him like Larry David. And when I listened to it with that in mind, I thought I can't pick like Larry David specifically, but it sounds more like Larry David, like a Larry David ridiculous British posh accent.
Yeah.
Than the Saddam Hussein. The Saddam Hussein doesn't, to me, sounds nothing like Larry David.
No, it sounds nothing like him.
It
I have
sounds
to
like
read the trivia.
a genuine British accent.
Yeah.
Like a well-spoken British person, whereas the comical cartoon version of like sorry
Maybe
sounds more like Larry
yeah.
David to me than but it's apparently not Larry David.
Maybe
So-
something went wrong with the audio recording or something. Maybe like there was distortion or something went wrong with the microphone during the takes. I don't know. Something weird must have happened and thought, shit, this audio feeds. And we can't bring back the actors, to reshoot.
Yeah,
So.
maybe Larry's like, you know what? I just want to,
Just want to put my voice over everything.
just want to put my voice over everything, like just sort of, flex my power.
I've only
Spread it
written the
around.
show. I haven't
and
done
just
much.
just
you
dub
know.
random British accents over random characters.
I've only come up with the show.
Yeah, just because I can.
Jeez.
Yeah.
What more do you want, mate?
Yeah, but I mean, Larry David does that a lot. He just voices random characters that could be voiced by plenty of other people, but he just
He
pops
has
in
a very
occasionally.
distinctive voice, though. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
recognize his voice.
I had no idea.
Saddam Hussein.
I read the trivia and I
voiceover.
was shocked. I was like, whoa.
Because he's got to me, he's got quite a distinctive, like, gravelly,
Yeah.
Yeah, Larry David does have a distinct voice and it sounded nothing like him.
so
Yeah.
smooth.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
smooth.
yeah.
Yeah.
Silky smooth.
Super
Yeah.
smooth.
Indeed.
Do you have anything else about Sorry?
Sorry, no, but I really liked him.
Hi.
Also, the facial
fab.
expression. He
Sorry.
looks like he just bit a lemon.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
perfect.
So sour.
Maybe he ordered a lemon tart or something and he just ate it.
Sorry.
He just ate it. He had a couple of bites and then he went, sorry.
Maybe he didn't get a chocolate babka and he was just in a foul mood. So it's like, I'm
He
sorry.
missed out on the babka.
He did, yeah, because the Benedicts, who I guess we'll talk about
Yeah,
next.
let's
Yeah.
talk about
They got the last one.
chocolate babka.
They did, yes.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Actually, maybe Jerry and Elaine got the last cinnamon babka, and he was dirty at them because he couldn't get chocolate or cinnamon. So he's like, well, fuck all of you. I'm gonna deliberately stamp on your foot with my cane,
Jesus.
and then my apology will be terrible.
Yeah,
Sorry,
possibly.
Sorry, not sorry. He invented sorry, not sorry.
Souls not souls.
Souls not souls. So the Benedicts, they were played by, Barbara, she was played by Susie Sorrow. She's appeared in Good Advice and Art.
I think you mean Susie. Sorry.
Sorry. And David, he was played by Mark Holton. He's appeared in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, A League of Their Own, and Leprechaun.
Oh.
Two big ones.
Classics.
And one
a cult.
one B-grade cult horror
Yeah.
film, yes. Well, all we know about them is Barbara met Elaine at the dinner party host's baby shower previously. So Elaine, they're going on an argument about the babka and stuff, and Elaine realizes, shit, I've met you before. And even Barbara didn't remember.
Yeah.
So obviously Barbara had, maybe Elaine said something stupid in the baby shower, or maybe they didn't talk much, and Barbara thought nothing of Elaine at the time, and she remembers Elaine, and he goes, oh, I remember you.
No, Elaine recognizes Barbara first.
No, that's what I mean. But then Barbara says, no, but then Barbara realized, I have
Yes.
met you too.
Yeah.
So maybe Barbara thought
At
nothing
the
of
baby
Elaine
shower.
at the baby shower or didn't talk to her.
I would
or-
imagine it would have just been like a random introduction, like, oh, Elaine, this is my friend Barbara. Barbara, meet Elaine. Like,
Yeah,
hi, how
might
are
be
you?
something
Like
hey.
a 10-second chat, and that's it.
That's it.
So, the conversation or the interaction wasn't memorable enough, but, it was enough of an introduction to remember when Elaine said, I remember you. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I just had that they were both like pretty standoffish.
Yeah.
When we cut to Elaine and Jerry trying to ask for the ticket and kind of explaining the situation, they're both standing there with like their arms crossed, obviously not very, open to the request. And to me, they were both like quite well dressed. Barbara especially, she's got beautiful hair, well dressed, she's got gold jewelry and stuff. So to me, they're just kind of like, A, we got here first, B, we got the ticket first, C, we're better than you.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
And we're not going to budge.
Yep.
The other thing, though, I just got really frustrated by the fact that Elaine and Jerry wasted so much time trying to negotiate over this ticket that they could have just, anyway.
Grabbed a ticket.
Yeah.
Could have just grabbed it. Like, it looked like they're standing there for ages talking to this. And then it, comes up and then they're like, oh, I recognize you. Oh, that's really awkward. Rah, rah. And
But
then
that adds to the self-centeredness of both of them, Jerry and Elaine. They're just such self-centered people that they wouldn't even think of getting a ticket.
Yeah.
It's just, to me it was frustrating to watch because I was just sitting there being like, just get a ticket and wait, like instead of going and now creating a confrontation with someone that you're then gonna potentially bump into at this dinner party.
Yeah.
They're both calling each other jerks. Like,
Yeah. I think the best way to handle that, like, I've been in that situation before where you're so caught up in your own, like, it's about the principle. But then, once the situation is over or as you think about it as it's happening, you go, I should have just de-escalated and just accepted that this thing didn't work out as I intended and just gone with it. Like the frustration and the sticking to your guns is not worth it because the outcome's worse than if you just accepted that it slightly diverted.
they wasted more time.
Yeah. So I understand Elaine's mindset of like, no, it's the principle. Like, we got here first. I'm going to ask. Like, I get that impulse that she has, but I think Elaine could have handled it better if she just, once she recognized it and thought, well, this is not only going to be awkward in the bakery, it's going to be awkward at the dinner party, just apologized and said, look, we're stressed out. Like, just sort of de-escalated it, apologized it and tried to make amends. And then just say, why don't we, I don't know, like, it could have been so much easier.
They could have ordered two things from the one person's ticket.
Yeah. Or taken like mutual credit for the bubka. Like, we're going in fourths for the bubka.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know. It could have been, being principled is good in some circumstances, but being over principled to the point where you just won't let it go. And the outcome from being principled is actually worse and more complicated and more like, than just letting it go and accepting that sometimes things
happen.
Things just don't work out.
They don't.
Yeah.
You got to know when to let go. And Elaine is very, very, she's like a dog with a bone. Sometimes she doesn't know when to let go and let go of her own like devotion to whatever she's trying to achieve in a situation.
But that's what makes it funny.
Oh yeah. Like, of course.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
The other thing that I love is like when Elaine and Barbara are kind of in their final little interaction, and so Elaine calls Barbara a jerk and then Barbara calls Elaine a jerk. Everyone's really sort of agitated, and then they call Barbara's number and she's like, that's us. And goes to the counter, and then she's like, we'll have the chocolate babka. And she's very sort of like serene and collected. You see that like face just switch.
Yeah.
Which to me kind of just speaks of that kind of like, upper middle class, entitled white whatever privilege of just being like, you know, in the altercation with Elaine, sticking to her guns, and then turns around and is like, we'll have the chocolate babka.
Yeah.
You know?
She doesn't seem too frazzled by the confrontation.
No, she
she's
thinks
gonna
of
get what she
Elaine.
wants.
She thinks of Elaine as lesser.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty clear.
Like the sorry guy.
Elaine is the cinema bubka in this situation. She is the chocolate
lesser
babka.
babka.
The lesser babka.
The lesser Bubka, yeah.
Another babka.
She's the lesser customer in the eyes of Barbara.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
we don't really see them much.
No.
Yeah, Barbara and David, yeah, so we can't really, you know,
I do
hypothesize
love the way
about them.
that they're like, we're going to get to the party and we're going to tell everybody what a jerk you've been.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
they're
what
like,
jerk you've been,
well,
yeah.
We're going to get to the party first.
Yeah, and tell you what a jerk you've been.
And we're going to
yeah.
tell everybody what a jerk you were. And it's like, well, yeah, guys, like, you kind of dug yourself that hole.
Yeah.
Elaine, mostly Elaine, but Elaine and Jerry, like, they dug themselves that
They're
hole.
definitely, yeah.
I
they're
think
in
they
the
could
wrong.
have dug themselves out a bit again if Elaine.
They could have tried.
Yeah, when she realized, oh, hang on, I know her. This is going to be embarrassing. It's going to be way more complicated than just a
We're all
line.
going to the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
party.
Yeah, Elaine could have just apologized and tried to smooth it over.
Yeah.
But she's
She's
stubborn.
very abrasive.
Yeah.
Elaine.
And that's comedy.
And that's coming, yes.
Actually, the one thing I did want to say was that it's rare that someone, especially, Elaine, like George expresses in this episode, she is quite intimidating. She is very good at getting what she needs to out of a situation through either intimidation or just because she's smarter or just because she's charming. Like she normally is the winner in a situation where there's an outcome. It's rare that someone
She's a woman of many resources.
She is. It's rare that another person simply like just sort of walks over her and Elaine gets
Other than
nothing
Sue
out.
Ellen Mishke.
Yeah, obviously there are exceptions to that, but it's just odd to see. Not odd, but it's not common to see Elaine come out of an interaction with zero. Like she will be the jerk when she gets to the party. She doesn't get the bubka.
She gets her toe broken.
She gets her toe broken. She's
She's a very vindictive person too.
Yeah, but she gets zero out of this situation. Normally she would get something. But
Even
she
by
just-
the time when they do eventually arrive at the door of the host, they knock on the door, they're like, here's your wine, here's your cake. Her hair is all frazzled,
Yeah.
like
They've
they
gone through a
all
rough
look-
evening.
They
Yeah.
all look really forlorn and kind of, and obviously nobody wants to go to the dinner party anymore.
they're over it by then.
Yeah, by
Yeah.
then.
But
And
it's
obviously
not
they're not
often
close
we-
enough friends to,
Yeah.
enjoy their party.
It's
Yeah.
not often
Yeah.
we see Elaine come off second best.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But second best, like I can think of some occasions where she comes off second best, but she might get small victories in that overall loss. In this, she's sort of like none of them get anything.
She just continuously gets shat on.
yeah,
George loses his Gore-Tex jacket.
yeah,
Yeah.
loses his money. I mean, Kramer's really the only winner in this situation in that he gets a penthouse for him.
He does.
And
And he didn't even bring
And a
his
Clark
wallet.
bar.
and a Clark bar. Yeah, he's actually the only winner.
Yeah, the whole thing. He just has to get his heating fixed in the car.
Yeah.
And he's set.
Do you have anything else about what are they called?
The Benedicts.
The Benedicts.
No,
Even
that's it.
even the name Benedict is such a posh name. The Benedict.
Very Benedict. They must live in the upper. Was it the east side? Is the fancy one, or is it the
I think
west
so.
side?
I've never been to New York, so
No, me either.
I
No
think
idea.
East.
yeah.
The east, yeah.
I think Manhattan is mostly.
Yeah, they live in Manhattan.
Yeah.
The only other notes I have on characters, the last one I have is the Counterwoman.
Oh yeah.
From the bakery.
Yes, she's played by Catherine Cates. She's appeared in Orange is the New Black, the Netflix series,
Oh.
as well as Hunters and Shades of Blue. In a COVID world or post-COVID world, she would not do too well in
No.
her job. With her coughing and hair in the bubka and everything just goes to shit. Yeah, I think she's just one of those tough counter women who's probably been in the job for like 20
reminds me
years.
a little bit of the soup Nazi. Not to the same, not in the same kind of echelon, but even when they go back and they're like, you gave us a bobcat has a
With a
hair on it.
hair,
And she's
yeah.
like, you got to take another number.
She's not the best in customer service.
No.
No.
Very
She's-
poor customer service.
Indeed.
And
Yeah,
then by
she's
the
very,
end,
like,
she's
by
like, how about a
routine.
box of Scram?
Yeah, she's just like doesn't have any tolerance for anything outside of what she wants to happen.
That's right.
There's zero flexibility, zero like empathy or care. It's just like and again, she's not intimidated by Elaine either. Like it's rare that Elaine like sort of turns it up and people aren't at least mildly intimidated.
Well,
She's
George
just
is scared of Elaine,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
admits,
yeah.
but not the
Yeah.
Counterwoman.
yeah.
Says the
Like, he
thing about
put
the
his Panama hat, put his head through it.
I like how George uses that as an example why he's afraid of her, but then it cuts to Elaine of like what she's going to do.
That
to George.
Panama hat's nothing.
It's just like they're both talking about the same incident completely like
And then obviously,
unknowingly.
I don't know where it is in the before or after, but when she throws his toupee out the window.
Yeah.
This is what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't like things being on his head other than no hair.
Yeah.
This seems to be an episode mostly about Elaine.
Mate, yeah.
Yeah, the counterwoman at the bakery, I think she's just jaded. I think she just doesn't give a shit.
No.
She probably deals with a lot of assholes.
She's been doing the same
She's
job
just-
for years.
Yeah, she's just like, you know what? I don't care. I don't care about your complaints. I don't care. Like, she's just, if it's not routine, I don't give a shit.
No.
And if you want me to give a shit, I give less of a shit.
That's
you know?
kind of where I get the reminiscence of the soup Nazi in that, like, it's clearly a very popular, you know, you have to take a number. There's lots of people there. They have to wait. I think they say they waited 15 minutes just to get to the counter. So, like, it feels like one of those kind of like cult classic, you know, New York spots where everybody wants to go there. Everybody wants the bubka.
I mean, the chocolate bubka's sold out. So
Yeah.
that-
It is.
The
That's how popular it
customer
is. So their
service-
food will be really good.
The customer service comes secondary to, you know, the acclaim of the place and what everybody's going there for. So
They
it's
don't
like,
need to win over a customer base.
exactly.
It's their-
People are going to show up and buy their shit, whether the lady's nice to them or coughing on their food or whatever, or not.
Yeah.
That's nice. I like
and that's
Jerry's
kind
little
of
quips.
that's kind of
nice.
the vibe.
That's nice.
That's good. When she's coughing, she's like, that's nice.
Oh, that's what you want.
That's what you
yeah.
want.
Oh, that's perfect.
And Elaine's
Yeah,
like,
swap
you
some-
gave us a hair with a cake around it.
Swap the hair with some phlegm.
But she doesn't even see, like, you know, theoretically, that would be within earshot of this woman while she's coughing. She has no response. That she's like a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and when she's like, there's chocolate and there's cinnamon. It's all just very matter of fact, as you said. It
Yeah.
seems like she's been there for a long time. The baked goods are going to sell themselves because it's, you know, one of those kind of very popular places. She just doesn't give a shit.
No, doesn't care.
No, doesn't
And
care.
yeah, quality control and food hygiene
In this world,
in 1994 was obviously a very different thing.
in 2020 and 2021, forget it.
Yeah.
You'd be out on your ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even at a place like that with a customer base so loyal, still wouldn't fly.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
She's like hocking up another lung.
Yeah, basically, yeah. She
it's
must
a
have.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Like, I've been in public situations where I've had to like have a coughing fit or something that other people might perceive as unhygienic, but you do a bit to disguise it, or you walk away, or you like cover your mouth.
She's
She
just
doesn't get it.
blatant,
She's
like
just,
cough, cough,
all
cough.
over the
Yeah,
food.
yeah, all over it, yeah.
Whatever. She's patient zero.
Yeah, she is. Patient zero of SARS
Maybe
in the 2000s.
maybe she was a victim of one of Saddam's chemical weapons.
Sarin gas. No, that was in Japan. Anyway,
Ah, shit. Probably.
too much powdered sugar
Yeah.
in the,
Yeah,
in
that
the,
must be what it
in
is.
the
Yeah.
windpipe.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
She snuck a,
That
snuck a bit of
doesn't-
babka, and that was it.
Yeah.
But has that ever happened to you when you like go to eat a Danish or something like that with powdered sugar and then you accidentally like bite and inhale at
Yeah.
the same
The
time?
powdered sugar is so fine.
Yeah.
You know, it
I
gets
have
right,
nearly
gets right,
choked to death on powdered sugar.
Yeah, it gets
several
right in
times.
there. It's just, it's such a fine crystal.
Maybe that's what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, maybe.
Years ago, stupidly, I did the cinnamon challenge. We were supposed to eat a tablespoon.
Oh,
of-
that trend from like
tablespoon
what,
of
2012, 2013?
2012, 2013.
Yeah,
I thought,
yeah, yeah.
I watched the YouTube videos and I was like, I can do that. And man, it
didn't work?
Nearly died.
Yeah, it was that bad.
Because as soon as you put the cinnamon in your mouth, it dries up and it's like it sucks the moisture. It's almost like charcoal in that it just sucks all the moisture
Sure.
out and it becomes this like dry, powdery, weird nugget in your mouth.
Oh,
Cement.
that's why people
Cinnamony,
can't. That's
yeah.
why people can't eat it. Ah,
Yeah, because
that's what it is.
and it burns as well because it's it's a spice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and you can't swallow it, and then you cough, and it's just like you're coughing like it's just like a big puff of cinnamon.
But then you're also inhaling.
yeah,
Like
Yeah,
back
yeah.
drawing.
yeah,
It's hell.
Yeah, so
That's
to
why I
answer your
prefer
question-
cinnamon sugar, not
yeah,
cinnamon.
Yeah, to answer your question, I haven't choked on inhaling sugar, but I've intentionally put a lot of cinnamon in my mouth, and that caused a similar effect, which was very stupid.
Yeah, don't do that again.
No.
Yeah.
I lost the cinnamon challenge, and that's okay.
Good. I'm glad. Anyway, that for me, that's all the secondaries I have. Did you want to touch on any more? I mean, we
just
got the
had
liquor store guy.
Yeah, I was going to say I've got a couple of little notes about. I just said bottle shop salesman. But
Yeah,
we
he's
could
played
also
by
say liquor
Frank.
Store.
Yeah, he's played by Frank Novas.
I
Yeah.
guess I don't know. To me, like the overall kind of picture that I got from the secondaries in this, or not so much the Benedicts, but all of the like sales attendants, it just struck me as like that very kind of archetypal, disinterested New York kind
Yep.
of prototypes of like the bakery person, the guy at the newsstand, the guy in the bottle shop, where they're just like, I'm not going to change 100. Like, I can't break it. Then the next guy's like, you got to spend more money before I'm going to change. You know, like they're all just kind of like, get over it.
It's like you're on my turf. Get with my program. Or
Yeah.
fuck off.
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly. And even
They-
when he's like, you know, what are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, we bought some wine before. And he's like, yeah, but this isn't a hangout. Like, you got to go outside.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it just, I got that kind of sense of that sort of very, I guess like the archetype of the hard ass,
Because you have to be like
take no prisoners New Yorker style.
Because around that time, 80s, 90s New York, it It was a
Yeah.
pretty tough place.
Yeah.
You know, with crime and stuff. So you kind of, even the shopkeepers had to be tough.
Yeah.
You know, you couldn't you had to stand your ground.
Yeah.
So I can understand why they're a bit abrasive.
But I also love that he took that god-awful jacket, because obviously he's like, you're going to have to pay for that when George knocks over all the wine. He's like, you're going to have to pay for that. But they've obviously, like, off screen negotiated some sort of trade where he takes that horrible jacket.
The Ninja Turtle jacket.
The Ninja Turtle, he looks like a gorilla.
Yeah, gorilla, yeah.
With, like, the
with his
chest
barrel
panel?
chest.
Yeah.
I noticed the big shoulder pads. It looked like a gridiron player.
Yeah.
It's insane. But he agrees to that as a trade-off instead of taking cash
Which he
for
had.
the wine.
He had $100.
Yeah.
He could have paid for it.
Well-
he had what, $86 left out of the.
Unless of all that wine. Unless
Like
it's
90
$6.75.
Oh yeah, did he pay for the wine, which was 12? So
Oh,
was it
sorry,
80?
and the
he had-
wine was
he still had-
12,
He
so
still
it
had
was-
$80.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe.
They
Unless
would have paid for unless it was really.
Unless they were expensive, like $20 bottles.
It was a lot of
like
wine.
the wine, yeah.
Maybe a couple $100 worth.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the cash plus the jacket.
Maybe.
But still, like, he didn't sort of stick his ground and be like, no, I want cash. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll take your jacket.
Yeah.
Maybe he was feeling cold in there.
Yeah.
He forgot his jacket.
Yeah.
It does look very toasty, even though it's ugly AF.
I think Gore-Tex is actually an expensive material anyway.
I have a jacket that's like a waterproof and windproof jacket that I got before I went overseas traveling, and it's got Gore-Tex in it. And everybody says that Gore-Tex is meant to be really breathable, and fuck me, that jacket is like stepping into a sauna.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, that's my whole understanding, is that Gore-Tex is like windproof, waterproof, and then also very breathable.
Those two things, I don't know much about linen design or like the physics of materials, but in my head, the idea of it being windproof and waterproof and also breathable doesn't make sense to me.
I know, but
You know,
I'm
it's
pretty
like-
sure that's how they market it, and it's even got like the Gore-Tex branding somewhere
Yeah.
on this jacket.
You like saying Gore-Tex, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
I thought it would be better, but I sweat like a mofo under that thing. Like,
Yeah.
I can't zip it up. If it's raining, I have to walk around Melbourne without it zipped up, because if I zip it up and it's not freezing cold,
It's like a hot box.
it is. It's like a sauna.
Yeah, right.
It's not breathable. Very warm, but not breathable.
Obviously, they're lying.
Yeah, obviously. Buggers.
Buggers.
But yeah, he's just a typical, like a stereotypical New York,
Yeah.
salesperson.
Yep.
Just, abrupt.
This episode was full of just disgruntled shopkeepers.
Yeah, it's basically like an episode of Curb, which
Yeah.
makes sense with Larry writing it. It's
Yeah.
it's like a PG-rated version of Curb.
Yeah. Everyone's disgruntled. Everyone's a jerk.
Nobody has any fun.
No fun.
Even when
whatever.
they show up to the party, they're like, here's your wine,
Yeah.
here's the cake, and then they just turn around and walk off,
they
and the
leave.
lady's standing there like, what?
Yeah, and I mean, to me, the only exception again is Kramer, because he got a free chocolate, and he seems to be in good spirits the whole time. Like even
Other than when he's really, really cold.
That's true. But at the start, when they're in the car, where they're all sort of making quips at each other and stuff, Kramer's just laughing. Like
Yeah.
he's having a good time. But even like his spirits are back to normal
Yeah.
by the time he gets to the party. Like the cold is just a temporary.
He is unflappable.
He's got his penthouse.
Yeah,
That is good.
the four.
He's got his penthouse for him.
Oh,
The magazine.
I was
Oh,
like,
no,
what, he moved?
yeah. Well, that's Kramer's secret wealth.
Yeah, what does George say? Like, all these people are having sex with amputees?
Yeah. There's like a high number of people in America are having sex with amputees. I don't know. There must be a prevalence of amputee sex stories.
In Penthouse, maybe.
There's a lot of weird references in this episode I
Yeah.
don't quite get, but it's a good one.
Yeah, for sure.
Get a penthouse and we'll have a read and
Yeah,
see what happens.
That can be a bonus podcast. We sit around reading 90s penthouse forum stories.
Sounds good.
That already exists.
yeah.
My dad
I'm
wrote
sure
a
they'll-
porno.
Oh yeah, true,
Oh, right.
true.
I'm sure there'll be articles on Reddit.
Yeah.
You can read them.
Yeah, yeah. There'll be lots of like heaving bosoms and like moist mounds and
Oh, no. Too
Actually,
much.
sorry, now that I thought about it, which I guess is probably, as we were saying before, it was topical at the time, but the guy that bumps into George when they're standing out the front of the news kiosk
Oh, yeah.
and yells big coat
Yeah.
at him also appears to be someone of Middle Eastern descent, and he has like a large bushy beard and a somewhat kind of thick-ish accent. So I wonder if that was, running with the thing at the times and kind of creating that.
Could have been
There's
adding-
some sort of tension.
Or it could have been,
around-
maybe it was like to do with like the Gulf War as well,
Yeah,
US-Iraq
that's what I
relations.
think.
Maybe it was a thing.
Because he just bumps into him and he's like, big goat, big goat.
Yeah.
And then walks off and everyone's a bit sort of jostled
edge
and,
and
on edge. But
yeah,
I
it could
just,
have been. It could have been adding, those little like references of dictators,
Like
that
setting it
little-
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe.
Saddam. I don't know.
Or maybe it was a thing where George, his coat was so intrusive that, at first he bumps into someone, but then he bumps in all that wine.
Maybe,
So it's kind of like a precursor to what would happen.
maybe if we're sticking with the you know, the dictator whatever, maybe George's coat was American foreign policy, just sticking its nose in where it doesn't belong.
Oh my goodness.
Starting wars,
Breaking wine all
breaking
over the
wine.
place.
Oh my goodness.
Who knows?
Shattering bottles, shattering homes.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Anyway.
shattering dreams.
Yeah, I think we're done with that. Do you have any other notes on any other secondary characters?
No. And that's it. Never again.
Never
wrap it
again.
up.
At least
Our
on record.
Yeah, our last ever secondary character analysis of Seinfeld. Such a shame. That's a shame.
That's a shame.
That's a shame indeed.
That's a shame.
So let's take our very, 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 very last break of BIDWBASC, and Stephen and I, we're going to reveal our top 10 secondary characters on the show for the whole time we have done the series over 4 years, every episode we have done now, and we are going to find out where this episode sits in every Seinfeld episode we have done.
Sorry.
Sorry? You almost took my toe off. What do you watch what you're doing, you lunatic?
This is the last welcome back of the last break of the last episode of BIDWBASC. I am honoured to be here with you two, and I would love to hear about your top 10s, your rankings, your scales for this episode, and your secondary characters.
All right, well, we can start with our secondary characters. So my top 10 secondaries for the whole time we've done Seinfeld are number 10, Newman, of course.
Yep.
Number 9, Corinne. She's from The Marine Biologist. Number 8 is Kruger, George's boss, last boss in the series. Loved him. Milos is number 7 from The Comeback. Number 6 is Bookman from The Library, our third ever episode of this podcast. Number 5, surprisingly, a lot of people might disagree, but Susan. A lot of people don't like her, but after we did our What's the Deal with Susan episode, our 5th ever one, I really liked her. Yeah.
She gets a bad rap.
She does, but after talking about her, really got into her.
Clearly has bad taste, though.
Oh, she does.
Yeah.
Number 4, Yev Kasim, the soup Nazi. Number 3, Uncle Leo. Hello, Jerry's uncle. Number 2, Frank Costanza, George's father. What a legend. Number 1, just edging Frank Costanza at number 1, George Steinbrenner.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
And your top 10, Stephen?
So I haven't read out my top 10 in
Too
long.
Yeah.
And
Well, this is your last chance.
I couldn't find my last time I read out the top 10. So I remembered some of them, but I've basically done like a fresh top 10.
Beautiful.
So number 10, Helen Seinfeld. I realized how much I love Helen.
I love
Great.
Helen.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
it's because she reminds me a lot of my own mother in lots of ways.
Yeah, you mentioned that
there was
last week.
Yeah, so there was a lot of relatability, and she's just a fantastic character.
Yep.
Number 9, the best Seinfeld mother as far as I'm concerned, Estelle
Yes.
Sansa. Number 8 for me was Susan.
Great.
And a lot of the same reasons she gets a bad rap. She seems to be the only like voice of reason a lot of the time.
She's very funny, too.
She's funny.
Yeah, she's funny, yeah.
Yeah, and she's smart, she's accomplished, she's intelligent. Like she's a great person.
She's queer.
She's queer. That's right. That's right. Number 7 is the Street Toughs, Bob and Cedric.
Oh, great.
Fantastic.
Great.
Love them.
Yeah.
Number 6 is the old man. I can't remember his name,
Oh.
but he's credited as the old
Sid
man.
Fields.
Sid Fields.
Yeah,
From, that was
with
our
the
second.
goiter.
Yeah,
Same
no,
episode.
Yeah, same episode.
Yeah. You know, number 5, Frank Costanza.
Great.
Classic.
Yeah.
What can you say? Number 4, the record shop owner.
Yes, from the old man.
Yeah. Al
yeah.
Johnson. Al Jolson. What am I going to do with Al Jolson? Number 3, Joe the fruit store owner.
Yep.
Fruit store owner.
Banned.
Love him.
Banned from the store.
You're banned from the store. Number 2 and 1 was a tough one. For a long time they were tied, but I decided to actually put them in order. Number 2 is Jack Klompus.
Great.
Take the pen. Love him. Number 1, Alton Bennis.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Love
Elaine's
him
father.
forever.
Wow.
He's just so he's such a grumpy, grizzly old prick.
Yeah.
And that's why I love him.
Excellent.
So that's my number 1.
Very good.
I know you don't have a top 10, Max, but if you had to say pick 5 or 10, whatever, who would you pick off the top of your head?
Your favourite secondaries.
Babu Bart.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Has to be there. Frank Costanza.
Yep.
Definitely has to be there. I don't know why, but the Maestro is coming up.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. He's good.
He's weird and
He's
erotic.
he's not one of my favourites, but,
No,
everyone's
but he's
different.
coming through.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
sitting here doing this in real time.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
the Maestro,
Yep.
the Soup Nazi,
Yep.
and I like Marla the Virgin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, that's my 5.
Excellent.
I can't do 10.
That's fine. That's fine.
go
You
with
haven't
it.
done enough episodes. Now, Stephen, out of every episode of Seinfeld we have done, this episode for me sits at number 21. I really enjoyed it. What about you?
It sits at number 9 for me.
Number 9.
Nice.
So it made my top 10.
Yep,
I
lovely.
really like this episode.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I liked it too.
Yeah, it was just, to me, it was an underrated classic. It had the black and white cookie lines. The sorry guy was a highlight for me.
Oh, yeah. Fabulous.
It had many grumpy old men, which I love. Yeah, I thought it was, I can't fault this episode.
It's
and I do
terrific,
love
yeah.
episodes that sort of break their own mold.
Yeah, the Larry David written ones are some of my favorites.
Yeah,
So it was
and I
perfect.
love a bottleneck. A lot of my
Yeah.
other favorites are bottlenecks.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yep.
I'm a sucker for a bottleneck. And I love to see the tables turned and Jerry and Elaine, as we're saying, like everybody comes off second best.
Yep.
Not just George.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone loses.
Yeah.
All the core 4 lose
And
in the
it's
episode.
and then they show up at the party, they basically throw the shit at them and then they leave. And I think that's so relatable.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is.
It's nice when the tables are
It's a
turned.
good episode.
Yeah.
It is. It's
Underrated
very good.
for sure.
Yeah, for
Season
sure.
5 is a corker.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
cracker.
Yeah.
Probably the second best season
Yeah.
besides 4. My top 10 episodes. Number 10, The Yada Yada from season 8. Number 9, The Puffy Shirt from season 5. Number 8, surprisingly, The Fix Up from season 3, where George hooks up with the woman that Lane's friend.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
surprisingly, I really enjoyed that episode a lot.
There you go.
That was one where I never didn't think of it enough before the podcast, but then I
I'm
watched it
struggling
and
to
loved
bring
it.
more than just that main plot to mind. But
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah. Number 7, The Facility Jerry. Number 6 is the opposite. The Facility Jerry from season 6. The opposite from season 5 is number 6. From season 5 as well, The Fire. Number 4, season 4 is The Outing. Number 3 from season 5, The Mango. Number 2, also from season 5, The Marine Biologist. And number 1, the seminal episode of Seinfeld from season 4, The Contest. Number 1.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Good choice.
What about you, bud?
Most of mine are earlier episodes, but
Cool.
so number 10 is the Bubble Boy. Number 9 is the Junior Mint.
Nice.
Number 8 is the Hamptons. Number 7 is the Limo. Number 6 is the Boyfriend. Number 5 is the Dinner Party. Number 4 is the Baby Shower. Number 3, the Pony Remark. Number 2, the Jacket. Number 1, the Pen.
Very
Wow.
good. Well, that's a great top 10.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And most of these, I tried to think of them in the context of secondary characters. So a lot of the episodes also feature my favorite secondary characters. I mean, they're all great episodes.
Yeah.
But I guess rather than just like stick with the classics, which are all fantastic, I try to think of them more from the secondary character point of view. So that's
Very good.
why I like episodes like the Jacket and the Pen. If they didn't have Alton or Jack,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have rated them as
Yeah,
highly.
yeah.
But that's always
Jack
been
Clumpus is
it's
Dynamite.
fantastic. Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. That's always been our wheelhouse. So that's
Yeah.
sort of how I approached it.
Makes perfect sense. But anyway, that
That's
was
it.
But I Don't Want to Be a Secondary Character for the very last time.
That's
Can
it.
I just say really fast?
Yeah.
The contest,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of
the
course. sorry.
Chinese
Oh,
restaurant,
your favourites? Yep.
the Chiva letters.
Ah,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Cracking.
Got to
Yeah.
agree with the Bubble Boy. The Bizarro. Is it
Bizarro
Jerry.
Jerry.
Bizarro Jerry? Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
the 5.
Perfect.
The Bizarro Jerry.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's a
We
strong
can-
5.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice.
Anyway, we got to wrap this one up.
Yeah.
The final episode of But I Don't Want to Be a Secondary Character.
But I don't want it to be over.
Me either, but yeah, I mean, it's very emotional. I mean, I guess we've got to say for the listeners out there, thank you so much for supporting us, listening to us, whether you've listened to us from episode 1. I know a couple of you who support us on Patreon and who have emailed us in the past have listened to us since the Soup Nazi, our very first, and
Amazing.
have stuck with us the whole way through. So, we do really appreciate it. Anyone who's jumped on the last week or two as well and is listening to our back catalogue, or anyone in between, thank you. It
Thank
really means a
you.
lot. Even if we could make one person happy with this podcast, that's enough for me. And the fact we've made so many of you happy, it's been a wonderful ride.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed doing this. I mean, we've learned, like Steve and I have become really, really good friends. You too, Max, we've become great friends, met through Steven. Yeah, it's been
a ride.
It's been a ride, and like I mentioned, lots of stuff, in our personal lives have happened to us that we've talked about in the past.
Yeah.
You
You both have really overcome some massive life-changing events, and Seinfeld is the glue that has, kept you going and also brought you together.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, most projects have would fall over after a few episodes or whatever, but
Yeah.
the fact we've done every episode of Seinfeld, this is my 3rd ever run through of the series. I've watched the series twice in the past in chronological order, but this is a different way of doing it. And I'm glad, for now I can watch Seinfeld without analysing it. I can actually sit down and enjoy
You
it.
can go back again and just watch it for fun.
Yeah, I just watch it for fun instead of writing
Yeah.
down about the secondary. So I mean, thank you so much to everyone who listened to us in the US, Canada, Australia, of course, everywhere in the world. We do appreciate it a lot, and I'm blessed to have done this podcast.
Yeah, I can't really add much more to that, and I did say a lot at the top of the episode. It's been a ride. Thank you to anyone who's listened to offer us kind words, criticism, anyone who's guested as well.
Yeah, thank you for our previous
you've
guests.
had some cracking interviews.
Yep.
Yeah.
You had your folks on the show.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yep. Relatives, friends, other Seinfeld fans, Seinfeld lore.
Yeah.
Thespians.
Mitch
from last week, Jesse
Yep.
from Sign Peaks of last year as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
And lots of others. And if we're forgetting you, I do apologize. Kenny Kramer.
Matt McCoy, who played Lloyd Braun, we interviewed him. Yeah, everyone. So thank you everyone.
Yeah, and we also, I think I mentioned at the top as well, that we did manage to get nominated for Best TV Podcast Award.
Fancast at the Australian Podcast Awards
a
of
couple of years ago.
2019. Yeah,
and
that was incredible. And an industry award in Australia, which is amazing.
Yeah, the Australian podcast scene is quite small, I guess, but the fact that we were considered good enough to even stand amongst a bunch of other great podcasts was an honour.
Yeah, it was amazing.
One of the many peaks throughout this 4-year journey. So thank you so much, and thank you to you, Ivan.
Yeah,
number one.
Thank you to you too, Steve.
Yeah,
Appreciate
it's been a ride, and I'm glad that we decided to do it, and that we never really. I don't think there were ever any points where we decided to pack it in.
No,
but like you said, a lot of projects fall over. They start with good intentions, and then life gets in the way, or you don't care, or whatever. But the fact that our friendship and our devotion and our bond to this our partnership as well to this podcast has never wavered, which I think is a testament to not only the content that we're covering, but us as friends and as colleagues. As much as you want to call us that, doing podcasting. So it's been more than I can really articulate.
Yeah.
More than just Seinfeld fandom. That's been the crux of it, and that's been the best part. But all the extra stuff that's happened between us and Max and anyone who listens who we don't even know, and all the extra stuff that's happened, it's been an absolute blissful, beautiful journey, and I can't say thank you enough. So if you've contributed in any way, or if we've given anything to you, it's a total honor.
Yeah,
and I mean that with every atom of my being.
And Max, thank you for joining us for several episodes.
It's been so much fun.
Yeah, and you've been a co-host when Stephen was away in Germany a couple of years ago. You guested with me on a couple, so that was fun.
Fuck, that feels like forever ago.
Yeah, it was like 2-3 years ago.
It's been so much fun and such an honor to have been a part of this, and to be able to, consume Seinfeld again, because I've watched every episode at least 5 times.
Yeah.
I went through a stage where I would watch Seinfeld every night when I fell asleep for several years. So I've watched a lot of Seinfeld, but this has given me a completely new perspective. It's given me a new lease on my Seinfeld love. It's taken it to a different level, and, being invited to come once was amazing. Feeling like I'm kind of a part of it, having done a few guests here and there, and filling in. It's just, it's been wonderful. So thank you for having me and having me back.
Been a pleasure.
Thank you to the audience who have been, supportive and said, yay, we love Stacey, get Stacey back. You get Max now, but I'm still funny. And it's been a blast. And I'm so proud of you guys for what you've done. And it's been beautiful to be a part of it. And tell me about what's next.
Well, we have a Curb Your Enthusiasm podcast. We're 3 seasons in. It was exclusive to Patreon, but now we're bringing that to you. So it's going to be on a separate feed with separate, email, social media and stuff. We'll be dropping a trailer to Curbcast on this feed later next week, next Wednesday. We'll drop a little trailer with some notes about how to watch or listen to Curbcast.
Entree.
Yeah, a little entree, yeah. And on Wednesday, the 14th of April, in the morning, Australian time, we will be dropping episode 1, season 1.
That's right.
Of Curbcast, yes.
Yep, and that's the first of many projects we have in the pipeline. We'll talk about that over the next little while as we get on with Curbcast.
Sopranos podcast.
We'll see. See how that goes. But yeah,
there's a lot of episodes.
Heaps, 6 seasons.
And it's so dense. It takes so long to analyze. It's not like Seinfeld where you just whip through a 20-minute episode. It's like
each episode could be like an hour and a half.
There's so much symbolism. Like
it's layered.
But this won't be the last you'll hear of us. So you'll be hearing of us in the future as well. So we will put all those details in. You can, of course, we are going to wrap up the social media channels for BIDWBASC, but our email is still open, BIDWBASCpodcast@gmail.com. We'll keep that open. And you can sign up to our Patreon page. All those details are on the show notes. That your funding will go to future projects that we're going to be discussing in the near future. And you can give us one-off donations to PayPal if you want to, if after everything, you wanted to give us...
Let us buy some babka.
Yeah, please.
Let us buy some Penthouse Forum.
Yeah.
Some gum, some newspapers and a clock bar.
And a clock bar. Whatever the fuck that is.
$6.75.
And then we get $6.75 in our Patreon.
Yeah,
Perfect. Sounds good. So yeah, yeah, if you feel like, we've entertained you and, given you, like, informed you, educated you for the last 4 years, and you feel like we're worthy of a one-off donation, all the details are in the show notes.
That's right. For the very last time, thank you again for listening, and thank you, Ivan, and thank you, Max, and thank you again to our wonderful listeners. We'll see you soon for Curbcast.
Yeah, and thank you, Stephen, as well. So, yeah, this is BIDWBASC. Take care of yourselves and each other, and, we'll see you for Curbcast.
Bye.